Am I wrong for telling my boyfriend that if he really loves me, he should put my son above his? Even if that ruined his relationship with his kid? I know it sounds horrible, but if I didn't protect my son, no one would. Not even the man I slept next to every night. Thomas is 15. He's my son. And if I was ever unfair to someone, it was only to make sure he didn't always end up second. When I met Abram about 7 years ago, everything felt easy. He had a son too, Fernan, the same age. He introduced them like they were going to be movie-perfect brothers. They'll get along great, you'll see, he said with that naive, optimistic dad smile. But Fernan didn't help. He didn't adapt. From day one, he invaded, interrupted, imposed himself. My son, on the other hand, was reserved. Quiet. A kid who preferred to observe before speaking. But every time Fernan came over, there were problems. Shouting. Pushing. Fights over stupid things. Abram scolded them both as if they were equals. As if both were provoking. Once he told me, "You have to get along better. This can't keep going like this." And I answered, calmly smiling, "Maybe if you stop forcing it, they'll work it out on their own. Thomas needs time, not pressure. Fernan already has his mom all day. He doesn't need more." I said it logically, not maliciously. Thomas only had me. His biological father does the bare minimum with child support and doesn't even call on birthdays. If Abram wanted to do things right, the least he could do was prioritize the one who actually needed it. It wasn't immediate, but it worked. Abram started taking Fernan only on weekends. Then every other weekend. Then almost never. When he asked me if that was okay, I said yes. That it was healthier. That kids notice when they're forced to coexist. That it was better to let things flow. There was one day that marked everything. Fernan's birthday. Abram brought a huge cake, with a superhero made of fondant. Thomas walked by, tripped near the table, and accidentally knocked it over. Fernan cried. Abram reacted immediately, furious, and scolded Thomas in front of everyone. That night we had a huge fight. "You can't talk to him like that over an accident," I said. "Can't you see you're making him feel like an intruder?" It wasn't just that, Leah. Something always happens with Thomas. He's always on edge. And what do you expect? That he turns into your perfect son overnight? If this keeps going, there's no point in us being together. I said it coldly. So he'd understand. Because I truly meant it. And apparently, he did. From that night on, he changed. He defended Thomas more. He was more patient. When they argued, he didn't correct him the same way. He avoided conflict. He stopped bringing Fernan over. And every time I saw him hesitate, I reminded him with gestures or silence that we were doing the right thing. I never forbade anything. I never said, "Don't bring your son." I just let him realize it on his own. Now Thomas had a man who took him to the movies, helped him with homework, called him champ, and hugged him without being asked. And that was worth it. After that, Fernan started disappearing. He stopped coming on weekends. He stopped asking about his dad. And if he did, I never heard about it. Abram would tell me vague things, like schedules didn't work or that he preferred to stay with his mom. I nodded. There was nothing else to say. Things were better this way. Thomas adapted quickly to having Abram just for him. He didn't need much. Just a bit of attention. Enough for him to stop clashing with Fernan. If he ever asked about him, it was without real interest. And I didn't encourage the topic. There was no need to reopen spaces that were already closing on their own. One time, Fernan showed up. He knocked on the door one Saturday. Abram wasn't home, he had gone out with Thomas to buy him sneakers. I opened the door. Is Dad here? I looked at him. I didn't like his tone. It wasn't rude, but it felt demanding. Cold. I told him he wasn't home and that I didn't know when he'd be back. He thanked me and left without greeting Thomas. When Abram came back and I told him, he asked if he should call him. For what? I said. If he's just going to come cause tension, it's better he doesn't. He's my son, Leah. And Thomas is too. And he actually wants to be with you. Don't ruin it over something you can't force. He didn't answer. He just sighed and went to the bedroom. That night, he slept pressed against me. Everything was fine until Fernan turned 12. He went to his party at his ex's place and came back with a strange look in his eyes. Like he hadn't slept. I asked what happened. He didn't want to tell me. I insisted. Finally, without looking at me, he said. He told me he doesn't love me as a father anymore. That I always take Thomas's side. That I never defended him. I hugged him. Don't take it that way. He's hurt, that's all. Kids say cruel things when they don't know how to ask for affection. What if he's right? Abram. What matters is who's with you. Thomas looks for you. Thomas respects you. He didn't say anything else. But I noticed he was different. Quieter. He started texting Fernan again. Calling him. Asking if he wanted to go out. At first, Fernan didn't respond. Then he did. He accepted a few outings. Coffee. Lunch. Small things. I didn't oppose it. But I started feeling things shift again. Become unstable. And the worst was that call. Fernan's mother. A Wednesday night. We were in the kitchen having dinner. Abram answered without thinking. Put it on speaker by accident. I heard everything. He doesn't want to eat, Abram. He says if you don't love him, what's the point of being okay? He's thinner. He can't focus. He cries when he sees your photos. Abram didn't say anything. He just closed his eyes and took a deep breath. I touched his hand calmly. When he hung up, he looked at me like he was asking permission. Don't let her manipulate you, I said slowly. You're not responsible for everything that happens there. You can't fix it all. You already have a family here. And it is working. That night he didn't contradict me. But the next day, he cancelled plans with Thomas to go see Fernan. That's when I got angry. I didn't say it out loud, but it showed. I made dinner for Thomas. Sat with him in the living room. Made him feel special. Told him that sometimes adults have priorities they don't know how to organize. That he shouldn't take it personally. But to me it was clear, we can't live with two such different energies. Thomas had been talking about the championship for weeks. It was the first time he was being called up as a starter on a competitive team. He trained every day. Slept with his cleats next to the bed. Even stopped hanging out with friends to stay in shape. You're coming, right? He asked Abram one night at dinner. Of course, champ, Abram said without hesitation. I wouldn't miss it for anything. Thomas smiled. So did I. It was the bare minimum. A couple of weeks later, Abram got home later than usual. He seemed off. We were in the living room when he said it. Fernan invited me to his ceremony. He's getting a diploma for a science competition. That's nice, I said without looking up. When is it? The same day as Thomas's game. I felt my body go cold. And? I don't know what to do, Leah. It's important to him. He asked me for the first time in a long while. I sat across from him, no beating around the bush. You already committed to Thomas. This isn't just anything. It's his championship. He's been waiting months. I know. But Fernan is making an effort. He's trusting me again. I don't want to fail him. And Thomas? You can fail him? It's not the same. Not the same how? One loves you and the other doesn't, so you choose the one who screams louder? Abram stayed silent. What you're doing isn't rebuilding a relationship. You're displacing the one you already had. Thomas isn't less important just because he doesn't cry. He didn't answer. That night we told Thomas. The three of us were in the living room. Abram spoke first. Said he was sorry that something unexpected had come up, that he wouldn't be able to go to the game. That it mattered, but he hoped Thomas would understand. Thomas looked at him like he didn't recognize his face. So what about me? You can fail me? That's not it, son. Of course it is. You're always with Fernan. It's always Fernan first. Thomas, don't talk to me like that. How do you want me to talk to you? You leave with him every time he cries louder. It's not a competition. Then stop treating him like he's special and I'm not. Abram stood up, exhausted. I'm doing what I can. And this is important to Fernan. And what about me? Do I not matter? Better don't come. Just don't come. I don't even care if you're there. He went to his room and slammed the door so hard the windows shook. I stayed with Abram. Looked at him with a mix of rage and disappointment. You're not choosing him. You're choosing the one who can hurt you more if you're not there. And what do you think you're doing with Thomas? He shot back. Can't you see you're using him too to win this war? This isn't a war. Of course it is. And I'm sick of everything being about picking sides. Then pick the right one. Because if you keep this up, I don't know if this makes sense anymore. He didn't answer. And on championship day, he didn't show up. Thomas didn't say a word afterward. He just got back to the car, took off his cleats in silence, and spent the rest of the day locked in his room. He didn't ask about Abram. Didn't mention that he hadn't come. Neither did I. Because this wasn't about forgetting anymore. It was obvious, Abram had crossed a line. The following days were a parade of one-word answers. Abram tried to normalize things, but Thomas looked at him with contempt or ignored him. He stopped greeting him. Started talking back. Not out of rebellion. Out of disappointment. And Abram took it. Didn't respond. Didn't correct him. Didn't confront him. He clearly felt guilty, but did nothing about it. I tried to soften the atmosphere. Bought things for Thomas's birthday. Decorations. A big cake, the same one he loved as a kid. But all of that was just to mask what really mattered. The car. I already had it picked out. Not new, but spotless. Automatic. Comfortable. The owner would let it go for $10,000. Abram and I had a joint account. An emergency fund. We both put in equally. Never touched it. $12,000 sitting there. And my son turning 16 after being ignored like nothing. One night at dinner, I said it. I was thinking of using part of the fund for Thomas's car. Abram didn't even look up from his plate. No. What do you mean no? I'm using my half for Fernan's surgery. He fractured his wrist a few days ago. Insurance doesn't cover everything. I have to pay the difference. And you were planning to tell me? I'm telling you now. That money is for our emergencies. This isn't the same. Fernan is my son. Or are you going to tell me that if Thomas needed surgery I wouldn't put everything in? Thomas doesn't need surgery. He just needs someone to choose him once in his life. And Fernan needs me not to abandon him again. I stood up. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And his birthday? You don't care? Do you know what that car means to him? Do you know the amount of shit he's had to swallow because of you? He'll get it. But not now. Not with that money. Not at the cost of another kid's health. He's not another kid. He's the same one who used you to get what he wanted. And what do you think you're doing with Thomas? We stared at each other in silence. I'm using my half of the fund, I said. It's the least he deserves. You're going to regret it, he said calmly. The surgery is this weekend. That money makes a difference. Then put in more of your own money. Or is Fernan not worth that much? He didn't answer. He went to the bedroom without finishing dinner. That night I opened the banking app. Transferred just enough to buy the car. Organized everything. I wanted Thomas to have something that made him feel above all this, even if only for a moment. It wasn't selfishness. It was priority. The car arrived an hour before the party. Clean. On a tow truck. A red bow on the windshield. Parked in front of the building. Thomas came down with me to take out the trash and froze. Is that? Happy birthday, son. He covered his face. He didn't cry, but his voice broke when he hugged me. He didn't say anything. Just whispered over and over, thank you, thank you, thank you. That moment was perfect. Untouchable. Until Abram walked in. He stopped dead when he saw the car. Looked at it. Then at me. He didn't need to ask. You bought it with the fund? With my half. You knew that money was for the surgery. And you knew it was Thomas's birthday. The surgery is tomorrow. Tomorrow, Leah. Where do you think I'm getting the rest? Not my problem. Just like Fernan never was. Don't fuck with me. This is insane. Insane? Making my son happy for one day? After how you treated him? And Fernan? He doesn't count? He's my son. And Thomas was too until that bastard showed up and took everything from him. The air froze. What did you say? You heard me. Leah, you just left a kid without surgery. For a car. A gift. A fucking symbol. For my son. For someone who actually loves me. Not a manipulator who learned when to cry. And you're a selfish woman using her son as a shield. And you're an absent father who only remembers he has a son when the other one demands it. We were shouting in front of Thomas, who said nothing. Just stared, with the same expression he had when Abram didn't show up to his game. I was wrong, Abram said suddenly, looking at the floor. I was wrong to stay so long. What do you mean? That it's over. I can't keep doing this. That if being with Fernan means taking you out of my life, I will. You're choosing him? Yes. If your son comes first for you, mine will come first for me. And this time, I'm not backing down. I froze. I didn't think he meant it. I thought he'd slam the table, leave, and come back like always. But he didn't. That night he didn't come to bed. He slept on the couch. The next day I didn't see him. Nor the day after. Until finally he said it. You have to leave. Cold. Direct. Like taking out the trash. I was making coffee. I thought he was joking. I didn't even look at him. What? This is over, Leah. And Thomas? Thomas isn't my son. That's when I looked at him. After all these years? He was never grateful. He only talked to me when it suited him. And when I didn't give him what he wanted, he treated me like garbage. You raised him. You helped him with everything. Yes. For you. For the idea of having a family. But I finally understood that idea doesn't exist with you. I laughed, dry. Of course. Now I'm the problem. Not you, abandoning everything for a kid who didn't even love you. He didn't answer. Just went to the bedroom, pulled out a suitcase, and left it by the door. You have a week to find somewhere else. I went straight to Thomas. Told him to pack. He didn't cry. Didn't ask anything. Packed what he needed, zipped the backpack, and walked down the stairs without a single question. Like he already knew this was coming. We moved into a small apartment. Expensive for what it is. Cold. I tried to keep things normal so he wouldn't feel the drop. But I couldn't. School. Extracurriculars. Clothes. Abram paid for all that. And alone, I couldn't keep up. Bills started piling up. I made excuses. Called the school asking for an extension. They said no. That's when I grabbed the phone and called him. He answered. I just want to talk. Silence. We can fix this. Really. I'm willing to accept Fernan now. I can be more understanding. We can be a family, for real this time. Silence. Then his voice. If you had tried from the beginning, none of this would have happened. So you're throwing everything away over one fight? It's not a fight. It's who you are. And Thomas? You're just going to leave him like this? Let his father handle it. Like he always should have. His father doesn't give enough. You were always the one supporting him. No. I was the one who let you believe you could use me. Then I'll sue you. I want child support. Let's see if you still play the good guy then. He laughed. With contempt. I'm not his father. Never was. And you already get child support from his real one. You're entitled to nothing. That's when I snapped. You're an asshole. And that bastard kid ruined everything. Ever since he came back, all you did was crawl after him. He didn't answer. He hung up. And blocked me. Now I'm alone. In a dark apartment, with bills piling up. Thomas doesn't talk to me. I don't know if he hates me or if he's just tired. Sometimes I see him staring at his car through the window, not moving, like he doesn't know what to do with it. And I don't understand how we got here. I only wanted them to treat my son the way he deserves. I was only asking for the minimum. Comment 1. Yes, you're wrong. Deeply fucked up. He wasn't your partner, he was your emotional employee. And your son was your excuse. Narrator's reply. I didn't use him. He chose to be there. And if he committed to being a father figure, he had to act like one. He never asked for limits when my son hugged him, but now he does because his feels displaced. Comment 2. I can't believe you say his son wasn't part of the family. What did you expect? That he'd abandon him to raise yours? Comment 3. Leah, you didn't ask for the minimum. You asked for everything. And demanded it like a divine right. And Fernan? Your damage doesn't count because he's not your blood? Comment 4. You used surgery money to buy your kid a car. That's not love. That's selfishness with a red bow. Narrator's reply. It was his birthday. His birthday. What kind of mother would I be if I said no because someone else's kid fell while playing? I couldn't let that go. Comment 5. Your son doesn't thank you because you taught him to receive, not to value. Look at everything you lost playing the sole victim. Comment 6. I feel worse for Fernan than for your kid. At least Thomas had an adult defending him, even if it was through manipulation. Comment 7. Suing a man who isn't the biological father just because he left you? That level of cynicism is impressive. Narrator's reply. He assumed the father role for years. He can't just walk away and say he was never my son. That's not fair to Thomas. Legally, he shouldn't be able to erase himself like that. Comment 8. You called your partner's child a bastard and still ask if you're wrong? What kind of monster does that? Narrator's reply. I said it in a moment of rage. I don't regret it. Yes, I said it. Haven't you ever said something ugly when everything you built was being destroyed? Comment 9. You didn't want a family. You wanted an army where everyone obeyed your son. You crowned him and it blew up in your face. Comment 10. This isn't an am I wrong story. It's a confession of how you destroyed a family and still don't understand why. Narrator's reply. I tried to build a family. If something was destroyed, it's because he couldn't balance things. It wasn't all my fault. And that needs to be said too.